Hey guys, and welcome. My name is GameAdvisor, and today we have a Starbase video covering the research tree. We're going to be talking about it as a whole, how it functions. We're going to be talking about what is the best way to get each different type of research, as well as what are the most important things for you to unlock. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning by talking about the research tree as a whole and how it actually works. So the research tree in Starbase is divided up into three sections. You have your basic, you have your tools and weapons, and you have your advanced. So what does all this mean? Well, what you're going to need to do is you're going to want to figure out what you want to unlock. The basic part is going to have all of your ship related parts, such as your cockpits, your fuel rods, your propane tanks, as I like to call them, but really they're propellant tanks, your platings, and a whole bunch of other things. You're gonna have mining lasers down here. We've got ship weaponry down here. There's all sorts of stuff in here that's super important that you will need to be able to build onto your ships as you advance more and more into more detailed shipbuilding. However, do keep in mind that if you are building a ship from scratch in the actual custom ship creator, you don't need to have any research in order to build it. We'll cover that more in another video. Just know that you don't need it if you're building a ship from scratch. This is for adding parts on midway in a flight, or something breaks, or you're trying to add something onto a ship that's already been made. So the next tab we have is our tools and weapons. The tools and weapons tab has all of your handheld devices. So this is going to be your paint gun down here, which again is not that important. We have things like our repair tools, our building tools, our cable tools, our pickaxe, our welding tool, all sorts of different tools over here on the left. And then these things at the bottom here, all these are your paint. So you've got your yellow, you've got your blue, your brown, all that good stuff. These are just paint. So again, everything from this point downwards is purely for decoration. Now on the right side, you have your handheld weapons. These are a little bit more important, of course, as these are going to be things you're actually going to use in combat. So just to give you an example here, the first one you're going to unlock is the infantry basics weapons, which is going to be a submachine gun and a pistol. As you go further down, you'll unlock some of the higher end weapons, which can do a lot more damage and be extremely impactful to ships. For an example, the rail rifle is one of the weapons that can penetrate just about any amount of armor, where if you put a whole mag of infantry basics submachine gun weapons into an enemy ship, even with the most basic of armor, it's still going to take several bullets to fully penetrate. So the next option we have over here is the advanced tab. The advanced tab is going to be your station and all station related things. So the first block you have is your advanced crafting bench. This is what you're going to craft your station blocks on, so you will have to place one. And then we have our station foundation with inside the safe zone. That means this can only be placed within 50 kilometers, roughly, of all of the origin stations. Now, as we go further down, there are some things that are extremely important here for building your stations, but unfortunately at this point in the game, stations are relatively broken, so all we really need is the blocks. Now, we do have other things like factory halls. These are going to be important again later once they fix the stations, but at the moment they don't really matter too much. So what you're looking to get here is going to be your station foundation inside the safe zone. And then if you're willing to spend the time and research to get all the way down to this one, just to give you an idea, this cost me about 2 to 3 million credits in ore. That will be able to unlock the station foundation outside safe zone. That means you can build a station outside of the safe zone and it will produce its own safe zone around it. This is super useful for companies, and especially if you're a single player and you want to go build somewhere outside the safe zone and not have to worry about pirates when you log off. Say you're 300 kilometers away, this block is going to be your friend. Unfortunately though, like I said, it is a lot of money and a lot of research in order to get down here. So those are our three main types. Next, let's talk about our different research types and how we're going to unlock each one in the most efficient ways possible. Now, when I say efficient, what I'm talking about here is what is the most cost-efficient way in order to unlock each individual research. Now, to get your red research, the most cost-effective way is going to be building the station basic block modules, preferably the cube, but any one of them can work. These take the cheapest ore in the entire game and only cost you about 800 credits if you buy the ore off the auction house and then go ahead and craft it into these blocks. You can then sell those blocks for about 600 credits. So at the end of the day, you'll spend 200 credits to get a ton of red research. This is a great way to do this, but again, it is going to take a long time because you're going to have to craft thousands of these blocks. So what I would recommend you do with all of these researches is play while you're active during the day, and then once you're done and you're ready to go to bed, leave your computer on, queue up as many things as you want for research purposes to craft, and then go to bed. And then when you wake up, you'll have all those researches and you can just sell all the items right there on the spot. It's very useful. This is going to be the way to get your red research for cost efficiency. Now, if you didn't go down the stations category, there's another way to get red research, and that's going to be using the bolt gun magazines. The bolt gun magazines can't be sold unless you sell them on the auction house, but they are still good for going ahead and getting that red research at a cheap budget price. So I would recommend, if you are trying to get your red research and you don't want to go down stations, because everybody's going to need to go down tools anyways, to use the bolt magazines. Now, the next research on our list is going to be the yellow research or the power research, whatever you want to call it. I call them by the colors, so we're going to call it yellow research for the sake of this video to keep things simple. So in order to unlock this yellow research right here, we're going to be building cockpits. Now, all of them do work, but I would recommend doing the one that is the cheapest and in the top left. It's going to give you a huge amount of research, and just to show you really quick what we're looking at here, if you build the cockpit's 2 small exposed T1 laborer module, it's going to give you a little bit of red, a little bit of purple, but more importantly, the yellow. And the yellow is by far the most expensive research to get. So do keep this in mind. If you need yellow research, this is the most expensive one to unlock. However, this is the cheapest way to do it because once you craft these, you can resell them back to the vendor for 9,000 credits. Now, you can spam this in order to make as much yellow as you need. They do take a long time, so once again, I would recommend doing it while you're offline. Now, your other option for yellow research, let's go ahead and hop back over, is going to be your basic crafting bench. This is going to be how you're going to unlock it until you get down to the cockpit. Once you have the cockpit, you can then go ahead and craft those, but until then, your next best option is the basic crafting bench. The other crafting benches do give it as well, but this one's going to be the cheapest one and most cost efficient. Again, you can resell them and make some of your money back. Now, as far as blue research goes, the most cost-effective blue research in order to unlock here is going to be building the tripod auto cannons. Personally, I did not go down this tree as somebody else in my clan did, but it is something to keep in mind that the tripod autocannons is going to be the cheapest way. Now, unfortunately, in order to unlock it, you're going to need 1,000 blue to get started, and nothing in here really gives you much in the blue category. So in order to get to it, what we're going to be crafting is going to be the infantry basic weapons, and you can go down here and craft some of the higher end ones if that's what you prefer and try to sell it for some money. But usually crafting the infantry basic weapons is the cheapest way to get to the tripod mounted cannons. So if we go look at those real quick, let's go ahead and look at our personal weapons. We have a few options here. We have the pistol, which isn't that great, but it is cheap. It will give you only 2. That means you're going to have to craft 500 of these. Or you can go with the SMG, which gives 21, but is more expensive. My personal favorite, however, is probably going to be building assault rifle magazines. Yes, you have to craft 1,000 of them, but they are super fast to craft and cost almost nothing. Having like 5 stacks of each of those resources, the ice, the nergite, and the bastion, is going to give you enough in order to craft hundreds of these things. So you're looking at maybe 50,000 credits on the high end in order to unlock your blue research to get to the tripod mounted autocannons. Again, the reason we want to get to those is because the tripod mounted autocannons is going to be the way that you are going to get your blue research and able to get down all to these other blue weapons and options down here, as well as all the other ones that require it down here. Okay, so we've made it to the final type of research, which is the purple or gear research, whatever again we want to call it is fine, but for the sake of the video we're doing purple, is going to be your thrusters. And you're going to build tier 1 thrusters because they're cheap, fast, and easy to make. These things are great for getting purple research, but they are, again, not the most cost efficient thing in the world. purple research just costs money. It kind of is what it is, and there's not much you can really do about it. So how are we going to do it? We're going to go ahead and open up our crafting again one more time. By the way, if you don't know, the hotkey for opening the crafting is going to be H. We're going to go over to our ship modules. Now, it's very important that we are crafting the right thruster. We don't want to craft these pre-made modules up here. We're going to be wanting to craft the T1 thruster box. This is the cheapest and most efficient way to get your purple research. You can do triangles as an alternative if you prefer, but I would highly recommend that you just stick to the T1 thruster box. It worked very well for me, and you can resell each one for 3,000 credits. That means you're going to recoup a portion of your cost, but considering it takes corrodium, bastion, and vicorium, and quite a bit of each of those resources, you're going to have to keep in mind that this one is going to be another one of those costly ones. You will get a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red along the way, but again, red is our cheapest one to make, and yellow is our most expensive, so I'm always happy to take some free yellow. But if you do need purple, your best way to do it is going to be spamming the T1 thruster box. Now, real quick before we move on, if you're wondering how to get the resources, you're going to go ahead and hit the comma on your keyboard when you're near one of the origin stations. You're going to go over to the ores section, this is going to be your auction house, and you can buy all the different ores you need. They're going to change in price quite drastically as time goes on, but it is to keep in mind that this is going to be the way that you're going to get access to each of those ores in order to make profit, in order to make all that research. This is going to be your safe haven. Trust me, it's way more efficient than going out and mining everything manually, which is not fun to do. So the last thing on our list that we want to talk about today is what are the most important researches to unlock. So by playing the tutorial, you're going to go ahead and get down to this cargo box, which is awesome and very useful, but there are some other things we want to make sure we grab along the way in order to make sure that we save ourselves a lot of stress and anxiety if, say, we hit an asteroid outside the safe zone or something like that. Obviously, you have each one that's going to give you each research type, so you're going to want to go for those, like the thrusters for an example, but there are other things that are important too. The first one I would recommend you get is going to be fuel rods, and then the second one I would recommend you get would be the small propellant tank. That's because if you happen to run out of fuel rods and you're in the middle of nowhere, you can just go quickly mine a couple asteroids, craft yourself one, and then you're good to go. Same thing here over with the small propellant tank. Do keep in mind to craft out in space, you're going to have a crafting table on your ship, so if you haven't done that, make sure to do it ASAP. You'll thank me later. Now, the generators can be important in case you hit an asteroid, but these aren't as important as making sure you have the fuel capacity. If you're just staying inside the safe zone, these are the two you want to pick up, the fuel rods and the propellant tank. Now, another one to keep in mind is you're going to want to unlock yourself some weapons, and again, I would just recommend when you're starting out, get the infantry basic weapon. That's going to give you some basic way to defend yourself and at least give you a chance when you're out there outside the safe zone. The next things you're going to want to get is you're going to want to go down into this tool tree here and unlock all the tools for yourselves. This is because if you're out in the middle of nowhere once again and you need to fix a cable or you need to fix a pipe and you don't have these tools on you, you need to be able to craft them in order to make sure that you can continue on. I can't tell you how many times in the first week of this game so far I've already managed to get stranded out in space simply because I didn't have a cable tool or a pipe tool when that was all I needed to fix my ship. Now, the last thing I would recommend you go down is going to be to at least get yourself the station foundation inside safe zone. This one is super duper useful as it's going to allow you to place a foundation right on the very edge of the safe zone. So that's going to be 50 kilometers out, and you can use that as storage rather than having to go all the way out to the edge of the safe zone and then leave the safe zone to collect ore. You can simply just go 1 kilometer out, go mine, come 1 kilometer back, and go deposit. This is going to save you a ton of time and make you a ton of money, so I would highly recommend you pick this up. More advanced stuff, yes, you will want one of these later on down the road, but when you're just starting out, worry about those things. You want to worry about the station foundation inside the safe zone, getting your tools and some kind of a weapon, and then unlocking the I always call it propane tank, unlocking the propellant tank and unlocking the fuel rods. Once you've done that, you can really just go wherever you want. And if you're in a group, communicate with people because there's no reason for everybody to need to go down the same tree. It is very expensive to get some of the late game items, so do keep that in mind when you're looking at what you want to go for. I mean, just to look at a handheld weapon here, a Gauss rifle is 80,000 red and 20,000 blue. No matter what way you look at that, that's going to cost a lot of money. So rather than everybody in your group going down every tree, just have one person go deep into each tree and then go ahead and have everybody get the basics for themselves. As far as the research tree goes, that's pretty much all there is to it. So thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you liked the video, and if you'd like to support us, you can check out our membership program down below, right underneath the video on the right side. Thank you so much for watching once again, and we'll see you next time.